We're not in our little super flat lore world today because we are exploring in the world in our current version of Orbis. Let's speed ourselves up. This is north. This is north. Never have I ever seen one of these in Zone 3 before. Do I have to go back and reconstruct that particular theory? We just did this last week. Hello? Big snake in Zone 3. Here's one of their spooky, creepy little circles, and you can even see, like, there's this sigil that's marked into the landscape. What is it done with? Slate? Yes, slate. Marked into the landscape. This is actually a beautiful place to begin this. Beautiful may be the wrong word. This is a great place to begin this. So, here we are in Zone 3. Inside of Whisperfrost Frontiers. I immediately would like to visit the name Whisperfrost. I'd like to pay a little closer attention to this. We have in Zone 3, particularly when you go through that that dungeon that you can find. It's in a kind of setup like this, except there's a building in the middle, right? You can find this statue and this statue as well. Outlander deity statue. So clearly we know this is Varen. If these are concepts, the different zones and the deities and everything that you don't know, go watch some old videos. Because we've talked about all that stuff. But this is Varen. We have the diamond symbol. 100% Outlanders worship Varen. And we've got the perfect color scheme from them. All the green and purple that's also associated with Varen and his void creatures. And then we have the statue of the Watcher. The statue of the Watcher has this fun little tooltip description that reads, "The Whispers were not what compelled the Outlanders to settle in these colder lands, yet it remains an unquestionable fact that when they arrived, the Whispers were already there." We've talked about this a little bit in old videos too, about where those Whispers come from, if they are malicious or benign in nature. I have evolved my theory a little bit. I've evolved my theory a little bit in that because we've talked a little bit before about how Gaia is comatose in some form or another, right? Like, this is called the statue of a silent deity for Zone 2 because she's not really able to communicate with them anymore. And we had wondered in one of our previous videos if this statue of the Watcher, perhaps the whispers that people are encountering in Zone 3, is actually her whispering. And it comes across as maybe this spooky sort of presence, but it's actually kind. Zone 3 is called the Whisperfrost Frontiers. This is a fact that I have included in the comments sometimes under the videos that we've done about Zone 3, but I've always forgotten to bring it up properly within one of the videos. The whole zone now has been renamed from Borea to Whisperfrost Frontiers. I have to imagine that that whisper part of Whisperfrost Frontiers comes from this little guy right here. I have to imagine that that's the case. When I think about Zone 3, the common thread through it, as you progress from the game, you go 1 to 2 to 3. When you hit 3, there is corruption everywhere. In fact, if I were to give a sort of log line to Zone 3, I would call it the zone of corruption. It's kind of everywhere you go in here, you see these hints of things kind of breaking down under Varen's power. And in fact, if we grab these right here, poisoned roots. We see some, like, poison plants begin to emerge in Zone 2 when you visit there. Like in the oases, you get some poison plants and little purple patches in there as well. But here we have full-on poisoned earth. We have these purple crystals, purple mushrooms. And we know that the Outlanders in their cities, we talked about this in a previous video if you want to go check it out as well, they use purple crystals in order to kind of pollute their water. They turn it into arcane water of some sort, and then they mutate members of their own using that power from Varen. So they're all looped into this, like, corruptive element. Given that that is the nature of the zone, and that this is a deity of the Outlanders, I have to lean towards it being a negative force. I simply have to. What exactly it is still is a bit beyond me, because I feel as though it's a little bit reductive for it to just be another aspect of Varen. Maybe that's just me. I would love to hear your guys' opinions and theories in the comments, as always, if you're watching this on YouTube. But that's my thought. That's my thinking now. I'm of the mind currently, the Watcher is not a pleasant deity. And that the Outlanders... Let's actually bring an Outlander up here. We've been talking about them so much. Let's summon one. Outlander. In fact, before we summon them, let's take a little look down the list. Here are all of our Outlanders that presently exist inside of the game. There is one easy to recognize common thread between all of them, which is the fact that they all bear the diamond symbol of Varen. So that symbol that they have on them, the glowing green one and the one that's on their armor and sometimes their helms as well. And I believe in some cases, it's also engraved. Yeah, like here it has been carved into their forehead. These are cultists, basically. In fact, this one is called a cultist. Which I've always wondered about this one in particular. I've wondered about this one and why its eyes are covered. It makes me think of the Mistborn series. If any of you guys have ever read that, if you don't want a spoiler, skip ahead if you're watching this on YouTube, or cover your ears if you're on Twitch. But there's a certain group of people within that series that have iron spikes that are driven into their eyes, and so they can't see anymore, but they can see. They have this like weird sense that then comes from the covering of their eyes with metal, and it allows them to perceive the world in a different way. And I wonder if there's something of that going on here. They cover their eyes in order to like enhance or access some other sense. Also interesting parallel here where the Farrens that we talked about last week have a freedom bracer on their wrist that signifies their relationship to the element of wind, and it's like motif of freedom within the game. These ones have these looks like iron bracers with the symbol of Varen on them. So the Outlanders clearly deep into their worship of Varen, having abandoned Gaia and her worship. And then we have where's our big the Brute. This is what it looks like when the Outlanders perform some sort of ritual in their spooky Varen purple water. Or at least that's kind of the conclusion that myself and others have reached, given that some of the concept art that we've seen and some of the stills that we've seen within the game seem to reference the fact that these guys spend time in that purple water as part of some kind of ceremony. We also have had references to the fact that Outlanders might be doing sacrifices as part of their rituals as well. Maybe they power the water with the life force of other people, since we know that like life essence is a thing in the game. Maybe that holds some sort of arcane power as well. But on all these creatures, their Varen symbols, and in these cases the eyes as well, they glow the exact same color. Let me freeze you, in fact. They glow the exact same color as the eyes of the Watcher over here. So unless Gaia is pulling a fast one, there is something related to this whole Varen situation going on here. Again, I hope it's not just an aspect of Varen. I hope there's some other element at play here. What that could be, I do not know. I am not sure. What is this? That's poisoned dirt. Poisoned vines and poisoned dirt. So, Outlanders, the main faction within Zone 3. There's one other piece that I would like to revisit with them. Just in case you did not watch a previous video, here's a good little recap for you. This is the essence of ice, so the main essence that you find here within Zone 3. It reads, when the Outlanders rejected the flame and split from their brethren, they turned instead toward the colder regions and the fragile strength found in the advancing sheets of ice. So this seems to be a reference to the fact that Zone 4, where you find these Essence of Fire, was home to it seems like it was a city named Crucible that was this big human civilization, and that through their own hubris and actions, their civilization collapsed. It seems like this is a reference to that the Outlanders split from Crucible and Zone 4 and departed before their devolution or complete collapse. So the Outlanders, I mean, it's kind of in the name, right? They are a breakaway faction of humankind, and they split from them. Interesting choice to then split from somebody who it seems like was messing with magic they shouldn't have been. And then the Outlanders are clearly messing with magic that they should not be. But I love that. It is so juicy. So that does bring us then to the other, I guess, kind of human faction, or used to be human faction that we had in here, which is the skeletons. So we have all of these frost skeletons here. Oh, and here's our frost golem. If you find the Forgotten Temple entrance that's in Zone 3 as well. And our frost dragon that we can't see. Let's shrink you. Oh, little baby dragon. Oh, little baby. That's so funny. Oh, little baby golem. Wait, that's so cute. All right, we're going back to regular size. Here are our frost skeletons that we have inside of Zone 3. Here's our frost archer. Here's our archmage. I mentioned this last time in Zone 2. The archmage... Don't do that with your head. The archmages that are in the game, they all have these, like, crowns atop their head. And we don't have any skeletons that are, like, traditional royalty that we would expect from antiquity. There's no, like, you know, kings or archons or queens or anything else like that, right? So... I don't know. I'm wondering if the mages themselves were kind of the rulers of the old human civilizations. Here's our frost fighter, a frost knight right here. Frost mage. Interesting. I'm looking at that little thing around his neck. Is that some sort of amulet? I don't know. And then we have the frost ranger. At the end here. There is one little interesting overlap. Let me see if I can find the one that this happens on. It's the knight. It's the knight, in fact. I'm going to spawn the knight here. I'm going to turn him sideways. Freeze on spawn. There we go. There's our knight. And I'm going to turn this way, and we're going to do... That's a good example, actually. That's a good example. A lot of them are good examples. So what I'm trying to get at here is just the common thread in their armor here. You see on the skeleton we have like the pins that are in the sides of the helmet and on the chest plate here. We have similar setups inside of the armor here. We have them right here. We have them right here. I don't think that these guys actually shared a civilization, but I'm just observing this, in that perhaps the Outlanders' arrival into Zone 3, they learned from the armor that they saw of the people who were dead there. And, like, they imitated that armor style. I don't think it really makes sense for these people to have come from the same civilization and for these ones to have turned into skeletons and their civilization is in ruins, and for these ones to still be alive and have rejected the flame. It makes sense for me, for these guys to have died out a long time ago, and then these guys came to Zone 3... having split from Crucible, and then Crucible perishes. I think these guys were originally Zone 4 people, and the fact that they're now, like, in the same realm as these people, and some of their armor kind of imitates them, is just by proxy of them learning from the people who lived in the place where they now live, if that makes any sense at all. Other interesting thing on this guy right here, do you notice how the Varian symbol is on the left side of the chest, directly over where the heart would be? I don't know what that means for what happened to this person, but I'm noticing. I'm noticing, and I'm pointing it out. Food for thought. Anyways, those are our Outlanders. Those are our skeletons. The main human, or the only human factions that exist within Zone 3, but we have quite a few other sets of NPCs that either make their home here or will one day make their home here. I wonder if I can actually spot any nearby on the map, because it would be really nice to go visit. Oh, wait. I think we have some up here. This is perfect. Let's teleport over here. Hey, here we go. These are the Trork homes of Zone 3. This was such a pleasant surprise. The first time I encountered this in the game. There's a lot of this happening. There's a lot of this happening recently. Is this actually set up? Block spawner get. It is, but it's not loading. This was a really pleasant surprise when I was exploring Zone 3 in exploration mode for the first time. And I encountered these and I was like, who in the world lives here? Because I had never once seen a reference to Trorks being anywhere outside of Zone 1 before. And yet here they are. There's a place in here where they spawn. Is it over here? Huh. I could have sworn it was these kinds of setups. You don't usually actually see many Trorks in here when you go through, but there's always like one icy pillar where they do spawn. I wonder if we can catch any over here. What I recall is always like I climb up these center ones and I see them over here. I wonder if that's changed. If the spawn is either broken or if they've taken it out. I'm not sure. But regardless, we have Trorks that are inside of Zone 3. And they're not the only people that we get inside of Zone 3. We also have their, I guess, rival faction from Zone 1. We have the Quebecs that also exist inside of Zone 3. So the Trorks, yes, the Trorks do make their home here. Let's bring up some Quebec structures. I've never personally found any Quebec structures generating organically inside of Zone 3 when I've explored. I don't know if that's a thing that can happen and it's rare and I've not encountered it. If any of you guys have seen it, I would love to know. But we're going to go into the paste tool here and we're going to grab some. So if we go into Hytale assets in the prefabs, and then we go into NPC, we're going to go into Quebec, and then we have several, I know my face is blocking some of it, but we have Autumn, Azure, Oak, Redwood, and Swamp. So 4 of those all exist within Zone 1, within the Emerald Wilds, but Redwood is a Zone 3 element. I was actually using these pieces in the latest World Gen Challenge. These are Zone 3 homes for the Quebecs. There's a lot of them here. We have some little farms like this. They look so similar to setups that we see from them inside of Zone 1. But they're made out of redwood instead. We have these small houses as well that look like they're made in these little stumps. We have little ponds from them as well. Adorable little ponds. And then we also have layouts. So layouts are basically, these would spawn in the world, and then at all these little white markers, those are places where prefabs would generate. So these are layouts for small towns. Let's bring in a big house like this. This is a great way to see how they live. We were told before the game released that the old and new Quebec models would both be present inside of Hytale. Obviously, at the moment, we only have the old ones. Well, with the exception, I think, of that merchant skin, the merchant Quebec. We can bring that up as well. Let's search up Quebec, and we have our merchant. There we go. These guys are a new skin, right? But the old ones are the ones that all look small. Small and cute. Like, I think this is the base one. Yeah. This is our little bald guy. So they're the ones that are based on this model here. And then our new ones would be the ones that evolve into the new Tree Singer models that are all hunched over. Very excited to see those in the game. But we were told, I believe Simon mentioned before the game came out, that the new models would be somewhere else in the world and that we would see soon. We haven't seen yet. I hope that soon comes soon. But it seems as though there's a little bit of setup going on here that could allow a place for those new models to spawn. This is a scarier place to live than Zone 1. if they're going to be in here, they need to be stronger. They need to be able to defend themselves. And there are a lot of different martial types that we saw represented in the new, or new, it's old now, but like new at the time, Quebec concept art that was done, I believe, during the Riot days. This makes sense for a place to pull them in here. Love how even here in Zone 3 they have their Gaia statues. I think that's beautiful. But this seems like a good place to get those models in the game. Seems like a very organic place to get those models in the game. And it seems like living in Zone 3, not everything has gone incredibly well for the Quebecs. If we go back into Hytale Assets, NPCs, Hedera. We have a shrine and a throne. If I remember correctly, it is the shrine that I'm looking for. I need to paste the air. Perfect. This is a Tier 3 Hedera shrine. We have also checked this out in a video a good while ago. I believe about structures or something to that effect. But we can see at the top of the shrine, we get doors. I believe these are the overgrown temple doors, but these are things that you would be able to find inside of Zone 1. Here they are present in a Zone 3 prefab. Clearly Zone 3 with all of this snowy setup. The Hedera itself does not yet spawn in here, but we see all of these corrupted elements when we enter, right? We see all the purple lighting, we see the corrupted vines, all of those sorts of things, and then this spiral tree down here. And then I assume that it would be somewhere in here. Oh, and there's our little spooky cauldron. It would be somewhere in here that we would find the Hedera itself. Let's look it up here. The Hedera is an animated model. It has attacks, it can fight, it can move, it has these animations. I use it in my Skyreach Ravines mod. There is a tiny little place where you can find a hidden Hedera and obtain a glider that's hidden in a chest nearby as well. So the Hedera are corrupted Quebecs. You can see the Quebec shape in it. You can see the ears. You can see its little legs here. But it is now walking on these stilt-like legs that clearly look corrupted as well. They have those little purple pieces that are sticking out of them. And it's kind of like... It reminds me a lot of the Bramblekins. It still reminds me of them. If we go in here... These are the fawns, by the way. The Bramblekin Shaman has this, like, this thorny headdress that looks so similar to the Hedera's thorny headdress as well. That sort of crown situation with the twigs coming off of it. I don't think that the Bramblekin are a Zone 3 creature, but this resemblance is striking. Maybe it's coincidental, maybe it's not, but whatever the case, I notice. The other thing that I noticed, that is what people actually picked up on first, in the Breaking the Curse gameplay video is the first time we witnessed these in actual gameplay, and it was just kind of hidden, obscured in the forest outside of Zone 3, and it was this diamond shape, and people were screenshotting that diamond shape online, and they were saying, look at this is a corrupted creature, like a corrupted Varen creature. And there was a similar moment in a screenshot, like a little postcard, Hytale postcard situation from ages ago where you could see this far in the background as well. This is the symbol of Varen, but it is yellow. I don't know what that means. Your guess on this is as good as mine, but it definitely looks like this would be like a symbol of that corruption. How exactly the Hedera got corrupted, how they came to have these own shrines, these own homes of their own, and what this giant spiral tree has to do with it, I do not know. A lot of mystery remains in this, but what is very clear is that the Quebecs will eventually have homes here inside of Zone 3, just as the Trorcs currently do. And some of the Quebecs will retain their own sense of self and their own identity, and some will fall to the corruption of Varen and become those Hederas. How and why that happens, I do not know. We will have to witness it, but that could be another incredible example of the living world, having the Quebecs in Zone 3 have something that actively corrupts them. It would be an incredible part of adventure mode where you're actually meant to go through the story of the game, where you visit a place like this and you see, I don't know, there's 5 Quebecs. So you come back later and there's only 4, and they're like, hey, one of us is now living in the woods and is corrupted. They went crazy and we had to kick them out. I think it would be really cool to see. It would be really cool to see. Now, in most of the game so far, we have a bit of balance in terms of positive and negative factions, right? So, like, the Trorks balance the Quebecs, good and evil. However, right now in Zone 3, we really just have the Outlanders, this negative presence, which makes sense. It's kind of a spooky place to be, but it seems that we may have another faction coming. Whether it will be positive or negative remains to be seen, though I hope that you can kind of skew your experience with them depending on alignment. I would love to see a faction alignment system come to the game. But I am referencing, we're going to have to go back to models, the Tullochs. The Tulloch Fisherman, I believe, does actually have a little bit of animation. We might pull it up on the NPCs tab. But this Tulloch is kind of empty. This is the base model. Has no eyeballs. Has no eyeballs, but I mean, it's a walrus that is clearly inspired by Inuit design. It has to be a Zone 3 creature. There's no other way about it. Here's our Tulloch Fisherman. If I remember correctly, the Tulloch Fisherman can attack, or at least it could. Right now it's motionless. What I recall from it, and I believe this is captured in a previous video, is that it held a spear. And if you approached it, it would try to attack you. I don't know if that's been taken away or if I spawned it in improperly. No, I did not spawn it in improperly. Interesting. It looks like its animation, its ability to hold and wield a weapon has been removed for the moment, unless this is some kind of bug I'm encountering. I'm not sure. But the last version of these I encountered were not super friendly. Again, would love to see that change on an alignment system. Do we have... I've not actually looked. If we go into here, there's no Tulloch structures, right? There's no structures. What about, like, an igloo? There's no igloo. What about, like, boat? No. What about dock? No. What about, what about pier? Also, no. What am I looking for? Maybe there's a better way to find this. If I go into here, let's go to, like, monuments? Encounter Zone 3, perhaps? No, these are all going to be skeletons. There's Trorks. There's outposts. That's not what I'm looking for at all. There's the ocean cities, shale, frozen. Those are just skeleton encounters. Maybe it's monuments incidental. Shipwrecks, slate, shale. Maybe it would be in the slate section. Oh, this is something we actually haven't gotten into. There's witch huts. There's witch huts that I believe are designed to spawn here somewhere since they're made out of slate as their base. We don't have any witches in the game, but that's a thing. That's a thing in the prefab files. I'm not finding what I'm looking for. Those look like Zone 4 houses. These are under the shale section. Are those Zone 4 looking houses that can spawn in here? I don't know. I'm losing my focus. I can't find it. God, okay. Tell me if any of you guys have ever seen this before. But I've been on the edge of Zone 3 like this multiple times before, and I have been at the water's edge, and there have been piers. There have been docks, there have been boats out in the water, and little huts that you can go into in there. I've not encountered NPCs in them. I don't know if they're intended to be Outlander situations, or if maybe that's like a first glimpse of Tulloch. It doesn't look that... it does not look like it's inspired by the same concepts that inspired the Tulloch, so I'm kind of hesitant to believe that. I'm hoping that I just stumble across one right now as I wander along the edge of the coast. I don't know. It may very well be an Outlander situation. Let me know if it's something you've seen and what you think about it. And hey, there's more Trorks. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddies. I never would have imagined Trorks living out here before I saw them. Alright. Am I missing anything? Trorks, Tullocks, Hedera, Quebec, Outlanders, skeletons. I am missing something. Let's see. I wonder if there's a chance we can actually, like, stumble upon one. Let's head over here into these mountains. The Boreal Reach. Because I believe this... Yeah, here we go. This is perfect. This, I believe, is a Yeti campfire. Yetis are the final... I don't know how sentient they are, but I'm going to say sentient for now. They're the final sentient group that lives in here. Hey, buddy. I love the Yetis so much. I love them so much. So we've seen in the trailer that they are eventually designed to hoist up pieces of the earth and be able to throw them at the players, which I am so excited for. If that's a thing in game right now, I have not witnessed it. I just witnessed them running at me and I run away. Kind of like this. Kind of like this. So the Yetis, they're out here living their best lives in the mountains. I would love to see a little bit more sentience from them as well. I would love to see them kind of like interacting with the world and other factions. I would love to see a relationship between like them and the Outlanders. Do the Outlanders consider them foes? Do they have to like set up Yeti defenses? Do they have to tell members of their society, hey, don't go into the mountains. There's Yetis there. They're gonna throw, like, snowy boulders at you as you run away. I'm too fast. I'm simply too fast. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I have set my speed to 3. It was at 3 when I was running from it. But yes, the Yetis are our final faction that live up here. I also want to see a baby Yeti. That's not in the game. I want to see your child. Sir, don't scratch your butt in front of me when I'm talking to you. Where's our circle? Our magic spooky little circle. Wasn't it over here? But we know the Yetis can make camps, at least. We know they can make campfires. Fire's the first start of civilization. Maybe the Yetis are a little more primitive, but I want to see what they can get up to. I want to see what they can do. That brings us to the end of our groups of people that presently live here within Zone 3. Very excited to see where this zone goes because I feel like there's a big amount of plot that hinges on what's happening here inside of Zone 3. I guess that's fair to say anywhere, but like there's some elements in Zone 2 in particular right now where I'm like, oh, they're a little ambiguous. Like with the Scarix and stuff, with the Farrens, we don't really know where all that's heading or how it connects to the overarching story. But in Zone 3, we have all of these beats that connect to the story. We have the worship of Varen. We have his corruption spreading through the, complicit nature of his worshippers here. We see that affect the other, like, plant life and creatures within Zone 3, like the corruption of the Hedera and all of these spooky elements like the glowing mushrooms and the corrupted vines and dirt that are all over the place. Still set alongside the end of a human civilization and its necromantic remains. It absolutely fascinates me, and I am really, really excited to see where this zone goes, particularly with their insistence that it becomes named Whisperfrost Frontiers and not Borea. I really think that that name is a hint as to what's going on in this place. I really, really do. Just like Zone 4, devastated lands. Their lands are devastated as a result of their own actions. Whisperfrost Frontiers, there's something whispering to them. And it's that guy right there. If you have any other theories or ideas, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear them. If you want to share ideas of your own, you are welcome to hop into the Discord server. Link in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're watching this on YouTube, the poll for the next video is live. And I know you're all going to vote for Armors and Ores because it's your favorite. And you all love it. And you all want it so bad. But in the meantime, if you want to catch out any of my other work, I do have another YouTube channel where I post larger projects, builds, and world gen that I have done, and I am active on Twitter all the time if you want to see the world gen projects that I've been up to. I will see you guys next week. If you're watching this on YouTube, we stream this live on Tuesdays, 11 a.m. PST, and I will see you there. Happy hightailing, and take care.